Welcome back to the Overwatch World Cup. It is time for our final quarterfinal match, and that is between China and Sweden. From Team Sweden, we have IDDQD down on the floor with Golden Boy.
Thank you so much, Rachel. We were just actually talking about how good we both look right now. This guy, he's so handsome. IDDQD, my man, how you feeling today?
Feeling pretty good, feeling pretty confident.
So we just saw USA get stomped out against South Korea, and that it will potentially be your opponent going into the semis. Any concern there before you head into your match against China, or just sights ahead on your current opponent?
Well, obviously you want to look forward, but we have to take down China first, which is an extremely coordinated and aggressive team. They're not to be underestimated at all. Obviously, Korea is on our mind as well, but first we have to take down China.
So what would you say is Sweden's biggest strength? What is the thing that's going to basically bring you to the dance and keep you at the dance the entire time?
Individual skill, obviously. Every single player on Team Sweden is a pro player, and they've done good. They have their own achievements and feats, like, you know, at the side of things. I think we got coordinated very early on, you know, in the qualifiers for the World Cup, and it's just been improving that point forward.
Yeah, and actually going into the you know, early qualifying rounds, you know, here in California, you guys definitely looked great. Any concern, I guess, like any threats in China, particular players that you're like, hey, you know, we got to make sure that we focus on this guy, or is it pretty much just across the board, let's just shut them all down and move on to the next round?
Definitely shut them all down. That's the strat.
Simple, clean, straight to the point, like your name. I love it. Anyway, IDDQD, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck in your matchup coming up, guys. This is going to be a good one. Sweden versus China. Rachel, take it away.
Thank you so much, Golden Boy. Now, it's a great time to consider after that conversation with IDDQD, your voting process for your T-Mobile MVP. Use the hashtag T-Mobile MVP on Twitter and the battle tag of your favorite player in each match. After each match, we'll let you know who you guys chose. And honestly, your picks so far have been fantastic. So right now we're going into a matchup between China and Sweden, teams that you've seen a lot of creativity from over these past 2 weeks of opening week. But let's start with a conversation about China.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Chinese scene is interesting, and it's still very much in its infancy. Growing quickly, but we've definitely seen the Chinese teams go up against their fair share of challenges. Even in arguably the most comfortable group, this particular team did struggle to qualify. It was a tiebreaker, but they did persevere and make it through.
Yeah, this is like a battle of two teams who have pressure from different ways. You have China, who's pressured from the region, and you have Sweden, who's pressured from like the entire Overwatch community, pitted as one of the favorites in the entire event here. So it's really difficult to be in both their situations. But China, I mean, they've been, I hate to say it, a little bit lackluster. This isn't like the teams that you and I saw when we were at the Overwatch APAC premiere just a few weeks ago.
Well, actually, we see some of the same problems, though. That is the honest thing here as well. I mean, you know, Lincoln and Naiba obviously both play for IG Fire, and Pangu and Meng Mao from Snake, YJP also from IG Fire, and then Jamali, should I say, from IG Ice. So this is a team of all-stars in terms of how the Chinese fans are concerned. But again, they're still adapting and adjusting to the pace of the game that the West is bringing. They said that in APAC when we actually saw Rogue and Lunatic High from Korea play against them. I said that was the biggest thing. It's like, these guys play fast. We need to think quicker than we are right now.
Yeah, this is a team that's going to struggle, honestly. The map pool itself is going to be Kingsrow, Hanamura, and Lijiang. Hanamura, they failed to finish against both France and Thailand in the group stage. So already there's clear problems there. And the fact is they're up against Sweden now, who finished in no problem at all on Temple of Anubis, which is arguably harder than Hanamura.
I mean, we've seen some great individual play across the board for them. John Lee, actually on the McCree, has been fantastic, and even Meng Mao playing the Zarya. But Sweden, this is a team who's basically all-stars. I mean, I think that's completely safe to say for them. You've got Tavik, who's one of the best, if not the best, flex DPS players in the game at the moment. IDDQD doesn't miss a single shot on McCree. You have a strong lineup out of Coco in terms of tank. You have Zambasai, who's flexing back over to Zarya, which he did play in a closed beta before switching over to support. You have Chips, one of the best Western Annas. Like, you have Zabe as well, who plays Lucio for the team, who's like one of the sneakiest Lucios I've ever seen. He's always on the walls, he's never on the ground.
Zabe is very mechanically gifted as a Lucio player. I mean, it's not often that people sort of make that comparison and say that Lucio players are sort of mechanical, but I hope that when we looked at the replay in that second game, we saw the boop and how it messed up a Reinhardt's charge. You can realize there's a lot more that goes into Lucio than peel and heal.
They did show weakness, though. They lost to Spain in the group stage, which surprised obviously a lot of people. They lost on Dorado, which was a bit of a shocker. So King's Row, is going to be a bit of a nervous point for them, I feel. However, when they get to Lijiang, I feel they have the edge over China if it gets to that third map.
And the biggest problem I've seen, I think, actually we talked about this quite a bit off air, is Sweden, is that you have two Mei players for their respective teams. IDDQD, who's now teamless, but before was with Fnatic, and you have Tavik, who's on Rogue, who plays Mei. They don't have like a dedicated Reaper player, so it forces like Tavik to play over to a Reaper, and then it forces IDQD to go over to a Mei, which is like the really strong combo. But where Tavik really excelled in his own team is the ability for him to flex around to so many different heroes at any given situation. And I feel like he's maybe limited in the team at the moment, and that's why we haven't seen Sweden so dominant as we expected.
Yeah, I mean, IDDQD will tell you I'm not really confident on that Reaper, and that does make it harder for Tavik to play what he wants to play.
Well, it looks like our two teams are ready to play. We've got China and Sweden on the comms. They look fantastic. Let's hand it over to our casters.
Thank you, Rachel. Our last quarterfinals here at the Overwatch World Cup, Sweden and China. I'm excited to see this one, ZP, because I want to see if they just unleash Tavik. Like, I feel like agreeing with a lot of the guys on the desk that they've just kind of put him in a box, not let him run all the heroes he's used to running.
So the key thing about Tavik is that he's a very notable player in the Overwatch community. Many people would actually make the argument that he could be the best overall player in the Overwatch community. So he's definitely a star of the watch. And for Sweden, they can definitely get a lot of mileage out of just supporting him and letting him fly.
Yeah, and for China, the map pool does not favor them whatsoever. You heard Lee talk about it on Hanamura. They were not even able to get that first point. So we'll see. First map, though, will be King's Row. We've seen in the past, Tavik run a very nice Hanzo on this one. See if he brings that out. I'm also interested to see on the side of China, Jamli has been playing a tremendous McCree, how he goes up against IDDQD. I feel like that's going to be a very tough matchup for him.
Well, the key thing about the Sweden team is that on the DPS side of things, they do have that double threat between Tavik and IDDQD, where IDDQD, typically you will find him on the McCree, more hit scan oriented, and Tavik, he can do it all. But in this sort of setup, you're going to be seeing him more on those projectile DPS characters, and it does look like he might be starting out here on the Hanzo.
Yeah, and it'll be China on defense to kick things off. So Jamli will be running that McCree we talked about. They'll have Lincoln running Zenyatta. So Zenyatta is one that we have not seen too frequently. Usually on the defensive side of things, we do see Zenyatta more, but I feel like at the Overwatch World Cup, we have not seen Zenyatta much. I definitely think they're going to miss having a Lucio.
They will absolutely be missing having a Lucio, just because Lucio is so important. The speed boost is a big deal for both engaging and disengaging out of bad fights, and just the overall healing that you get from is great. And man, look at Pangu right there. He's having a blast.
Yeah, doing a helicopter there, swinging his hammer pretty quick. Getting warmed up there for Team China on the side of Sweden. I'm definitely looking at Tavik to kick things off. He's going to be up top. See if he launches a scatter arrow over the top here. We've seen that quite often, maybe just switches right after, but it will be Sweden on attack here in map number 1, going up against China, and it's going to be gaining some vision. We'll see how long he sticks on with Hanzo. Hanzo, a very good pick, though, on this map to try and get an early first kill in your team's favor and then push into the point.
Tavik is very fond of these early Hanzo picks, where he is more consistent than most in getting that first pick off, where if you're a Hanzo player, you just need that one magic arrow to set your team up. He does land a headshot there, not a kill just yet, but he's looking for the squishier characters in the back. Just wants to get that kill, put his team at a numerical advantage.
If China can hold on, though, I feel like the Hanzo pick will definitely end up hurting Sweden. It's going to be Mengmao taking out Coco there at the beginning. IDDQD takes out YJP. And now I think they just need to create space so Tavik can get on the other side of this wall here and really start to take out those backline players, really looking for Lincoln on that Zenyatta and Naiba on that Ana.
Well, here's the key, is that they just got to pick up there. They're going to have a 65 in just a moment just from respawns. And they are just out-muscling China here. Sweden rolling forward. They break the Reinhardt shield. And here they go on the way. Tavik takes down Pangu. And that might be enough to just secure this point.
China gave up way too much space here to Sweden. It's going to be IDDQD. Nano boosted up. He's going to be able to take out one. But China, they have their Winston back on the point. YJP, he falls. Here comes a Deadeye from Jamli. He's able to get one. So YJP takes out two. Jamli with one. Here comes a Deadeye, though. IDDQD throw things in Sweden's favor as he takes out three.
IDDQD being scarily consistent on this Reaper, getting the shots he needs to get, landing a great ultimate towards the end to seal the fight. And now you take a look at Sweden. We have one of the most prolific combos in the game coming up. It's going to be Graviton Surge in the Dragon Strike, something that Sweden is very adept at landing, X.
Yeah, and IDDQD starts things up 8-0. You can see how cool and collected he is from the little player cam shot there. And for China, it's going to be Pangu with that Earth Shatter. It's going to be Mengmao now getting the Graviton Surge. And I wonder how they combo this. They don't really have anything else. I mean, in terms of support ults, they just switch over to Lucio, so obviously not going to have a sound barrier. China not in a good position. This next fight, it's going to be, though, a big Earth Shatter coming out from Pangu. And you see YJP following it up with 1. And now China being very aggressive here, but they're not picking up any kills.
They're going way too aggressive, and now here comes Sweden on the turnabout. Sound barrier dropped, moving into China, making China regret going that far deep. They can even hold the Graviton here as they just mechanically grind down this China team. And X, as a result, they're still going to have Graviton and Dragon Strike up for the next fight that could decide point 2.
And you could almost kind of see that happening when China got aggressive and they didn't pick up any kills early. That Sweden had all the sustain through that fight. They're able to hold on and not even use their ultimate. So now you have a great situation for Sweden. Chips is going to have the nano boost. IDDQD getting close to another Death Blossom. It's going to be Sweden. They're going to use that combo we were talking about. The Dragon Strike goes off barely. Tavik's able to get off 1 just before getting pinned by Pangu, and he's going to be swinging his Reinhardt Hammer only at 7 HP, though. He needs the heals to come in quick. Not enough, though. Chips takes him out. IDDQD with 3 in that fight. This is all Sweden early, ZP.
Sweden getting everything they need, even when their combo doesn't quite work out. It's IDDQD that's there, ready to pounce, and speaking of ready to pounce, he's setting up here over the top. He is 16-0 right now, X. He's been having himself a game, and this is one of the best Reaper positions you can be in, where he's just gonna be looking to drop down, use the Death Blossom, and helicopter into this China team.
China has no support ults up. They don't have the nano boost, they don't have a sound barrier, and here comes IDDQD off the top. He's able to get 2, make it 3. It's just going to be Mei, stuck in her ice block, not going to survive that very long. And it's the side of China, they use that blizzard in the fight as well. Things do not work out for them. This is one of the faster times we're going to see on King's Row. It's going to be Sweden completing the map with 4 minutes and 12 seconds left.
And I dare say, that might be a perfect round from IDDQD. Got everything he needed done. 22-0, 10,677 damage done. Almost double the next highest on his team. In fact, it is over double next highest on his team. Just a great gem of a game from IDDQD.
9 kills with the Death Blossoms as well, and only 2 uses. So you can see how effective and efficient he was with that ultimate ability. But he has played lights out here throughout the entire no opening week. And then now in their first game here, the main stage, he definitely shows up in a big way. On the side of China, we talked about Jam Lee potentially countering him. They're using that McCree. He only grabs 2 eliminations there in the first half. We'll see when China goes on offense if he can pick things up a little bit.
Indeed, and while McCree can be pretty good at shutting down a Reaper, applying more pressure, I think the problem that Jam Lee ran into is just Sweden was operating on so many levels. Tavik was still playing a very pressuring Hanzo coming in. The tank play, of course, from players like Coco, who are that dominant, was very hard for China to deal with. So China, they have their work cut out for them now as they look to take to the attack themselves.
And do you think China definitely would reconsider if they got the chance to go on defense again, having that Zenyatta? I feel like they needed that Lucy at the beginning. I feel like that's what really let Sweden just come in and take the point with these.
I definitely think they would have reconsidered there, just because of the part where there are plenty of areas there where it would have been nice to just use a speed boost and disengage away from IDDQD, make a little bit more space. They weren't able to do that, and unfortunately, the pros of Zenyatta there did not outweigh the cons.
Oh, well, I think, just having the Zenyatta on the first one, obviously not getting a Transcendence, not staying on it long enough to get a Transcendence definitely hurt, but then it also hurts in that Streets phase because then when they switch to Lucio, they're never able to get a sound barrier. So you really saw nothing from the support ults from the side of China. Really hurt them there in the first half. It'll be China here on offense. They'll be running Meng Mao on that Reaper. Jam Lee will be running McCree, and look for Pangu to really be an impact player on Reinhardt. We'll see if they go up top into the hotel. This is a very effective opening push. You want to use this high ground to get over possible Mei walls.
Indeed, and it's a little bit weird to have Tavik on the Reaper after IDDQD's Reaper game, and then Tavik not on the Mei, but we know he plays a great Mei. A little bit strange coming out here for Sweden, but both players very accomplished. As China right now, they go in over the top, they get through that first archway, and you see Meng Mao right now with the speed boost coming around the flank. They're trying to get Sweden off guard, engaging in right now. Sweden backing out, not really suffering, and they get the first pick off.
Yeah, and YJP gets taken out there. That's a big kill from IDDQD because he was pretty charged up on that Zarya. Nice click there from IDDQD, taking out Naiba, and he has just gone to work here, ZP. 25-0. The streak continues for IDDQD, getting close to a blizzard here just in the opening push. Sweden has just been on fire.
They have absolutely been on fire. Now remember, King's Row defenses really require a high degree of perfection. You can't trade out kills, you really just have to be smothering. So there's a lot of good opportunity here for China to at least get the payload moving. But for now, Sweden will have that Blizzard in their bank. It should be an impediment to China as they try and get in here. So China still gonna have some issues here on this next attack.
Well, China does have the nano boost to use, so we could see Pangu on that Reinhardt getting nano boosted up. It's going to be important if he does to get a kill on the point. You see, they're actually going to separate them. You see Pangu and Mengmao caught out of position there, but IDDQD not able to pick anything up. He actually does take out Mengmao towards the end. Jamli goes sending up into the air when he lands. None of his teammates are left. Coco takes him out. No, it has not looked good for China. That's a team kill in favor of Sweden.
This has been completely and totally brutal coming out from Sweden, operating on the highest conceivable levels right now. And we've been talking a lot about IDDQD, but let's talk for a moment about Tavik. Tavik going to have the Death Blossom up here in just a moment. Going to be looking for a sneaky area to catch China off guard. Maybe it's been the IDDQD show for a lot of this game, but Tavik definitely about to be on fire here if he plays his cards right.
Well, Sweden did use the nano boost in the last fight, so not going to have that to combine with Tavik's Death Blossom. They do have the Graviton Surge, though, to use. I think as soon as you see the nano boost come in from China, you're going to see it shut down by IDDQD's Blizzard. You see Jamli set up top, trying to get something going with his Deadeye. He's able to pick up one. Pangu picks up another. So this is China's best chance. It's going to be Coco answering back. A big Blizzard comes in from IDDQD. But you see Pangu still going to be nano boosted, and here comes the sound barrier from China. They're going to be able to get onto the point.
That was a really late sound barrier for China. It might work out here, but it's still better if you can use it when your entire team is up. And unfortunately for them, Sweden is able to reclap. Tavik going to the back line, laying down that suppressing fire, pushing it back. And Sweden now just trying to buy a little bit extra time for their fall to get back here to the point. Well, their fall was Lucio, though, so he should be able to speed boost right back in, and he's back there right now.
So a minute to go for China on attack, ZP. I feel like they need a little bit more mobility. I feel like if this push doesn't work, they definitely need to switch up to something different. It's going to be Mengmao with the Death Blossom. It's going to be YJP just getting the Graviton Surge. They need to land these. The Graviton Surge needs to be precise. And you see a Maywall coming in there and a Blizzard, and they use the Graviton, but it's going to be Mengmao not able to get in position to use that Death Blossom, and that is not how you wanted to go if you were China. Fabulous defensive hold there from Sweden.
Absolutely. Now with only 40 seconds remaining, China will be falling down to their final attack. And I just want to say, what a great Blizzard there from IDDQD. Zoned out most of China, stopped them from getting really anything off of that Graviton. And now China, they are completely drained. No ultimates to their name right now. Sweden with a whole lot to go. And it would be a miracle if China brought this back as Tavik is creeping.
Oh, and he's in a perfect position again. Nano boosted, picks up 3, gets to the back line. Oh, and it is not good. Mengmao, the last one alive here for China, just trying to stay alive as Tracer. He is going to fall. It is all Sweden in map number 1. They complete the map on offense. On defense, they hold China from even getting to the point. It's going to be Sweden up 1-0 in our best of 3.
That there was just textbook play coming out from Sweden. Everything that they needed to go right did go right. And IDDQD with a monstrous 32 elimination, 1 death game. That was huge.
And that's the Sweden that we expected to see opening week. We had not seen that at all, and you expected them to play much better, but they are bringing it here in the quarterfinals. We caught up with IDDQD to talk about Sweden's chances, and let's catch up with them.
Hi, I'm Tvik, and I'm representing Sweden. So many people expect so much from us. I don't feel that sort of pressure. I go in, I play my game, and then I take it as it goes. In Overwatch, it's not one thing that defines a player. The most important thing is just being able to take criticism and being very open. What makes me versatile is that I'm able to play all the heroes that is in the game. It's definitely an honor representing Sweden.
Not Tavik, very talented player there for Sweden. He goes 24-2. Playing Reaper in the second half, and it's something you kind of question, having him go over to Reaper, IDDQD, play the Mei, but it definitely worked out there against China.
It totally worked out, and the thing about these players is that even if they do have more of a specialty where they prefer, say in IDDQD's case, to be more in hit scan, they're still very multi-talented. They can flex as needed, and for one reason or another, they did break it down that way, but you can't really argue with the results.
Now, second map will be Hanamura in this best of 3. We talked a little bit about China's struggles on it during the group stages. Coming into this, ZP, is there anything you can imagine them trying on Hanamura that could catch Sweden off guard?
It's going to be difficult. Again, I think the problem with Sweden relative to other teams, think about, say, a breakdown of Russia where you think about it and you go, all right, how do we stop Shadowburn? We know they're supporting Shadowburn, so we have to go in and take him out. Whereas when you go against Sweden, Sweden is so multi-talented, both on the DPS end, on the tank end, on the support end, that there's no real weakness that you can sort of go, we're going to isolate this, because even if you do isolate something, the other parts of their team are still going to beat you.
We'll see when we get into this map number 2 if Sweden can close out this quarterfinals, move on to the semis where they would play South Korea. That would be an incredible matchup. No one that everyone has wanted to see, but and get into Hanamura, it'll be Sweden on offense, China on defense. Let's see, they're going to go with that Zenyatta again, ZP.
So I think this is a case where you do want to practice how you play. There is some degree of idea to, okay, we're going to flex for the situation. But for China, if they've spent a lot of their time practicing with the Zenyatta, especially on defense, I just don't think they want to change gears in the middle of the tournament. They want to go with what has gotten them here, for better or for worse.
We'll see. Sweden on offense here. Tavik should run that. Genji is very talented on that hero, and it looks like, at least if Sweden, this is going to be the comp they're going to run, they're going to get extremely aggressive. I mean, Coco, he can just jump in, engage with the Winston. I feel like Sweden kind of knows they have China like dead in the water, so to speak, that they know that if they just engage and get in their face fast, that China can't play with them.
So what Sweden's going to be looking here more than anything else, given that they're running the double flanker offense here with the Winston, is that they do just want to get in over the top. They don't want to play the archway game. They just want IDDQD to get back there, Coco to be able to come over and just really catch China off guard. Go for one of those 1 or 2 early pickoffs that can really let you get a lot of momentum in this game.
You can vote for your match MVP. Use hashtag T-Mobile MVP. For me, I think if it would be IDDQD at this point, I don't think that would be too difficult of a decision. It'll be China on defense here. Let's see what Sweden does on the attack. Sweden 1 map away from closing out this series. You see, I imagine they're going to engage here quick with Winston. I imagine he's just going to go right over the top. YJP on the Mei for China. Very important. He lands this Mei wall at the beginning, separates Sweden.
He's going to be looking to separate them, but IDDQD and Speak, they don't have to play by the rules. They can get in, and the wall is late. Sweden gets all in entirely, rushing down China right now onto the point.
Yeah, it's going to be China, though, picking up to a nice sleep dart there by Chips. It's going to be Tavik on the point. It's going to be Chips from a distance, keeping Sebasai alive. You see those on heels coming in. Fantastic play there by Chips, and it's going to be Sweden taking the point.
And that was the case for Sweden. They just rolled right in. They caught YJP a little bit off guard there, and as a result, they're rewarded with a very quick cap here on point A. And take a look at Sweden. The ultimates are coming up. Tavik very well could have a point B clearing Dragon Blade up and at the ready in a moment. All sorts of momentum for Sweden. X, they could put this away right here.
Oh, this would be like a record time if Tavik can get inside with that Dragon Blade, because they have the nano boost as well. Could just run absolutely through China. You see he's going to get nano boosted, trying to get some damage down. Now gets the Dragon Blade, and this is not good for China. You see Tavik going that back, trying to clear out Pangu, and he does do that. Megmao drops as well, ZP, and things falling apart here for China. Oh, this is not good. You're going to see all 6 members of Sweden on the point. China needs to switch to a stall composition here, try and get back towards it. Jamley goes over to Tracer, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
It is almost certainly not going to be enough. Sweden with all sorts of momentum right now, just cleaning up China as soon as they get back onto that point. China making a valiant effort here towards the end. They do get the blizzard that's going to stall things out a little bit more, but it's still all sorts of rough. IDDQD darting and dancing with Tavik. The Bash brothers in action right now, and they are piling on the eliminations, X.
Yeah, YJP just trying to stay alive, gets in that ice block, puts a wall up. It's not going to be useful. They're going to be able to take out Pangu, and it's just a stall composition from the side of China. It's just a matter of time before this falls apart, and you see it's going to be the China Zarya, Naiba getting on the point. Now it's going to be Lucio. China just flooding in. YJP can't make it. It's going to be Sweden taking both points with 5 minutes plus remaining.
Sweden looking like an unstoppable juggernaut right now. The fact that they were able to take point A that quickly, that IDDQD and Tavik just rolling forward, mopping up kill after kill towards the very end. Just absolutely amazing stuff. And let's take a look at Tavik's stat page here.
16-0. Trying to one-up IDDQD. 3 ultimate kills there with the Dragon Blade, and I think it just spiraled out of control for China when they let Sweden get in. We talked about how important that Mei wall is going to be. It comes in late from the side of China. Sweden gets in, takes the point. They have the nano boost. They get that Dragon Blade on the attack, and Tavik picks up 2 kills, and then that's when things unraveled for China.
Absolutely, and here's the thing for Sweden. This is now a no-pressure defense in all senses of the word, where even if they lay an egg here and get completely rolled over, it's still kind of unlikely that China would set a quicker time and the game would effectively be reset. So for Sweden, they have everything to gain, just about nothing to lose here on this defense. China is in a very rough position that they need to dig their way out of, because if they lose this map, they are out of the exhibition.
And it's interesting, just looking at their composition. Obviously, China, with a decent amount of time to change it, make some adjustments, but right now, going with those 3 tanks and then a Mei, I'm just kind of questioning how they're going to break through the gate. You're really relying on YJP to get a pick with that Roadhog hook, but I feel like Sweden's going to play smarter than that, not going to give them an opportunity to do that.
I agree, and the weird thing here for Mengmao is that Mengmao is a great Zarya player, but even if he lands a huge Graviton here, there's not going to be that much of that fall through. I mean, the main fall through that you can think of here would be a Reinhardt or Roadhog, but that's not necessarily the most devastating of setups that you can have. So for China, I do think they're going to have some trouble getting through. As you mentioned, they will be relying on YJP. It's going to be rough, especially because it doesn't seem like the swiftest competition for taking point A.
And we'll see if China can get in on the offensive attack. Have struggled on Hanamura in the tournament thus far, and we'll see what they decide to do here. It's going to be YJP trying to peek there. They tried to build a wall to actually block off Sweden and get into that right room, and Sweden's just going to give it to him. So China is going to be able to walk in, but now the question is, ZP, what do they do? How do they get into the point attack?
Right now, they're just trying to stay alive, not give up any pickups. Unfortunately, they lose their Lucio. Now they can't speed boost or AoE heal, and Zebo's side just moving in, getting the clip of Zarya. Quite charged up right now. Tavik cleaning up the back line, and China just getting picked apart in this house.
Yeah, not exactly sure the message was relayed to Lincoln that they were all going to the right. As soon as they get through, he goes to his left. Sweden realizes that the enemy Lucio is alone. They convert on him, take him out pretty easily, and Sweden gets a good defensive hold. So now China, they're going to keep with this composition. They're going to get close to the nano boost, and I guess you're going to give it to Pangu and maybe try and get into that right room again. I just feel like once China gets in there, it's like they're trapped in that little room. They're not going to be able to accomplish much.
The other problem they have here is that Tavik has a Blizzard, and it is absolutely devastating for stopping Team getting in. They will be opening up here at the ice wall. Toucan's room, they think they make it a little bit too tight, so they're not quite swift as they would be. They get the hook to start out the fight. They don't get the pick off, and here comes the Blizzard, getting awfully chilly there in the room. Call it the freezer because Sweden has mopped them all up.
And that's exactly kind of what we were talking about. You see IDDQD going to land some shots. Zebasai comes in for the cleanup on YJP, but once China got in there to that right room, I mean, obviously the Blizzard helps a little bit on the side of Sweden, but you can just kind of trap yourself there. You can't really get to the high ground with these, because obviously it takes some time to get to the stairs, get everybody up the stairs, and then even if they did get that high ground, I mean, you're relying so heavily on YJP to make something happen. I think China needs to make an adjustment.
They absolutely do. I would honestly, at this point, throw in some flankers, get a Genji, get a Tracer, just something that can go to the back line. IDDQD behind the ice wall, Deadeye up, Happy Little Skulls coming up, and it is going to be a double kill Deadeye for IDDQD.
For a second there, I thought we were going to see 4 or 5, but it's IDDQD gets to, putting a lot of shots down on Pangu's shield, and it's going to be Tavik finishing him off, but China has not been able to get anything going on offense. I think we need to see something like a Genji, maybe a Winston, just a little bit more engaged, give them a little bit more versatility to get through the gates, because right now not working. Jamli, though, does have the Blizzard, so maybe they're able to get in, catch some members of Sweden at the door and make something happen.
Or at this point, IDDQD is playing pretty far forward. He doesn't have a care in the world, even a random Widowmaker right now, just to pick up IDDQD, create a little bit more room. I can even see that working, but for China, they only have a minute 18 left. They are quickly running out of time. Jamli's going to be looking to change weather here in a moment, but there's not much else that China actually can work with.
And Tavik is going to get the high ground, has the Blizzard, and he sees a few players stacked up, but it's going to be a Blizzard coming in from the side of China. Traps a few members of Sweden inside, so it's going to be 2 members down for Sweden. It's going to be Tavik with that Blizzard, though. It's going to be Naiba behind enemy lines, though. He is going to get frozen here. You see Tavik inside of the point. Just takes out 1. He's going to get 2 players very weak, just trying to stall things out. Mengmao finally deals him his death, and now it's going to be China getting on the point. They have control of it. This should be one they're able to take.
Absolutely. The reinforcements are coming in. It is an awfully long walk from point B to point A. So Sweden, they're going to have to back up a bit, regroup, but they have burned a whole lot of time off the clock. They had already completed the map on their attacking round. So you take a look here for China. They have some ultimates in their bank. But Sweden, they have a lot too, and Sweden should be well prepared to defend this next push.
Yeah, China, they do have a lot to work with, though. They'll have that sound barrier, so they'll have a little bit more sustainability, and I like the way that they're using these main walls. Jamlee just blocking off entrances so his team can get through. It's going to be a big earth shatter from Pangu. He's going to get one, pinned up against the wall. This is where China can make something happen. IDDQD takes out one. Here comes another blizzard in from the side of China, and they're able to take one out inside of it. China gets on the point. They need to deal with Tavik. He boosts himself up top, just trying to stay alive. Here come the reinforcements from Sweden, though.
Tavik fought his team all the time they needed to get back out. China still the dominating presence here on the point. This is still something they could win. Meng Mao takes down Zebo. China, though, they can't give up a single pick here, X. Anyone goes down, it's going to be exponentially harder for them to stay in here. And Sweden, they're not easy kills. Tavik able to find Pangu, and this might be the beginning of the end for this push here for China.
And Meng Mao uses that Graviton Surge. He's just got Zave inside of it, but they don't finish him off. He's actually able to live through it, and things are actually falling apart for China. It's going to be 3 kills in favor of Sweden. And you see IDDQD on that Tracer gets right up into the face of Meng Mao. He's able to take him out, so it's going to be Sweden holding on to Vik with another Blizzard. They're going to have a nano boost for the next fight. And China throws everything into that one. Pangu gets an Earth Shatter back, but that is one China needed to finish off.
Absolutely, and China had a great engage there. They caught most of Sweden off guard, but it was Tavik with the heroics on the edge of the point, using Ice Block and Ice Wall to their maximum to just buy extra time. And now, as a reward, he will have Blizzard here in the next fight, and China gonna find it a little bit difficult to get in here. A lot of ways that this push can be gummed up by Sweden.
Now you see Jamlee trying to get up top on Reaper. He's going to have to back out as soon as he gets weak. And see Zebasai, though, he's going to be in a position with that Winston for the side of Sweden. Just put down some poke, just cause a distraction. As soon as they hear the nano boost, you're going to see the Blizzard come in from Tavik. He actually falls, but it's going to be Zave and Coco up top, able to take out one player apiece. Pangu, he gets nano boosted up top for China, but he gets stuck in that Blizzard, so China uses the nano, and they get nothing to show for it.
And for China, time definitely running out here on them here in the Overwatch World Cup. 2 minutes and 10 seconds remaining, and Sweden just stalling this out, taking player after player, but not being swift about it, buying every second off the clock. You take a look at China for the next push. They have a sound barrier, not much else. They're quickly running out of attempts here. It's basically their second to last attempt. And if they use sound barrier and get nothing, it would be terrible for them.
Yeah, if they use this sound barrier and they cannot get onto the point, make anything happen. You think China's odds to take this one are not very good. Jamlee getting closer. Death Blossom, Meng Mao getting closer to Graviton. So maybe if this one doesn't work out, one more attempt. But you see a pin coming in there from Coco. It's going to be Zave able to take out Pangu there at the end. IDQD able to take out one with the Deadeye. And it's one where China, they get to the point, they use the sound barrier there actually, and they get nothing to show for it. But Neva has the nano boost, and they have the Graviton Surge and Death Blossom for this next fight, but it's definitely going to be their final chance.
It is their final window of opportunity, X, because if they use these ultimates to get nothing, they will not have the power they need to come back, even if there is a little bit of time for overtime. So for China, everything on the line if they want to stay alive here in the Overwatch World Cup. Pangu leading the way, shielding his team as Meng Mao looks for that Graviton, and the Graviton is in.
Yeah, and you see it, it's going to be Naiba coming around the outside. I mean, trying to get on top in a position they could use the Death Blossom, and it's going to be the Death Blossom used for the side of China, but they don't get anything for it. You see all the kills going in favor of Sweden. It's a very odd use there because Naiba came around the outside, couldn't get eyes onto Jamlee, and they never get anything out of that Graviton Death Blossom combo.
All right, and you take a look for China with 35 seconds remaining. They threw everything they had into that push. It did not work. And now here comes the final Hail Mary play where they have to just hope for a miracle. Somehow pick off someone early on. Sweden with way more power and ultimates right now in prime position to finish out China and go forward to a date with South Korea. We'll see how it works out as China comes with their final attack.
And Coco can end this with one great Earth Shatter. You see IDQD, he's going to use the Deadeye. He connects with one. That's a big kill there for Sweden. Drops down, lands some nice shots there onto Meng Mao. And can China get towards the point? They cannot. It's going to be Sweden taking the series 2-0.
And for Sweden, I think what's surprising me, it's not that they won it, it's that they were that dominant as they won it. Sweden had their ups and downs over opening week, but man, it feels like they came out super strong here at BlizzCon weekend.
Oh, well, they know. I mean, when they win this game, obviously, they go up against South Korea next. They know they need to be on point. I mean, that is a very strong performance from Sweden. And now, you saw Tavik and IDDQD, the slaying potential that those guys have, I think, is unmatched.
Absolutely, and again, it is that threat from the Sweden team where there is no real weak player. Other teams, you might be able to isolate someone. Sweden, everyone is awesome.
Sweden had 182 kills there on Hanamura. Just a dominant performance. Want to know what the analysis has to think of Sweden's great performance here against China.
Oh, thank you so much, ZP, Mr. X. What do I think of Sweden? Sweden is a powerhouse, and this is an incredible performance that's going to bode well about their matchup with South Korea coming up shortly. So let's take a quick look at the brackets and see our remaining matches for the semifinals now that we are done with our quarterfinal matches.
Well, I mean, here it is. Sweden go through pretty comfortably. I think, Rachel, one of the most interesting parts about this is that we may not be able to actually take Sweden's temperature properly here because they go up against, in my opinion, the weakest team of the top 8, and then they have to go straight up against the strongest team of the top 8. So it's going to be both sides of the spectrum for these guys, but I mean, even before that, Russia versus Finland, that is hard to call.
I actually don't know which way I would put that one. Like when I talked to Shadowburn before, he said he wanted to play against Finland because it's a team he knows pretty well.
They know him, trust me.
Yeah,
they know
exactly.
him.
And it's going to be hard for him, I think, to go up against maybe like Taimu if he plays McCree. We're going to see a really cool battle between them, but there's some great matches still coming up.
Two countries that border themselves, a little bit of a grudge in between Russia and Finland, I feel, so it should be interesting.
Well, let them play it out here on the Overwatch maps. That would be best. Let's talk about this match that we just saw. This was China versus Sweden, another really quick matchup.
Yeah, what a surprise.
Very surprising.
What a surprise that China couldn't finish on Hanamura. I mean, we kind of saw it coming. They struggled in the groups, obviously, as well. But Kings Row, let's rewind it all the way back there. You guys made a lot of points on there. They were pretty woeful in their attack.
Yeah, okay, so first of all, one thing we've noticed about the Chinese scene, and that they did even when we were over in Shanghai a couple of weeks ago, is that they still really love to play Zenyatta. And this is fine. I understand that there are a lot of things that Zenyatta brings to the battlefield, but they do it instead of a Lucio. So you throw Zenyatta, you throw the Lucio away. Now, in my opinion, and I think Jason might agree with me here, the speed boost ability for Lucio is still the strongest move in the game. You can do so much with it, and most importantly, you can disengage when the enemy's coming at you with ult advantage or a man advantage or anything like that. You can actually adapt to situations and have a get-out-of-jail-free card. For whatever reason, they're taking a Zenyatta into these rounds, and I understand that the Transcendence does give a lot of healing in a pinch. The problem is that when a Reaper gets nano boosted and uses his Death Blossom, he can take people out with one tick of that particular ultimate. It does that much damage. Now, Transcendence does tick in its own way as well. I think it was 100 HP per second.
300.
Okay, 300 now. So, but if the ticks aren't congruent, you could potentially, this is theory crafting here, but you could potentially be killed before you can get the healing tick from the Transcendence. If you had a sound barrier, much more robust way, I guess, to deal with that, Jason. I don't know why we're seeing so much Zenyatta still.
I think it's maybe a crutch for them, actually. Because what Zenyatta offers you that Lucio doesn't is obviously the speed, but he gives you a lot more damage than a Lucio will do with the Discord Orb and the damage that he can do himself. So to me, it kind of says they don't trust their damage dealers to do the damage that they need to, and then allow him to play Lucio. And you cannot really underestimate how strong speed is. In every single game I can think of, speed is always king.
Yep.
Every game, how fast you can move, how mobile you are is always the king. And to not have a hero like that who can facilitate an aggressive push, to facilitate a retreat, is really mind-boggling.
Yep. So they don't trust Jamli.
Well, I don't know, like, because Meng Mao and Jamli are both great DPS players, but like I don't know why they don't just trust them to do what they need and use the Lucio to get them in positions to make it work.
I actually personally think they undervalue the speed a little bit. Maybe even the sound barrier, because obviously sound barrier has its limitations and it doesn't deal well with damage over time. It's obviously more for bursts, so like a Zarya Tracer combo, for example.
And the cast time of it as well, compared to Transcendence.
Right, exactly. Now, when you see maps like Hanamura, you're defending in a static context. That means that you're sat on a point and you're trying to prevent people from capturing that point. So there may be an argument for maybe not needing a Lucio to speed you around that place. You still want to disengage to a degree, but when you're on King's Row and you're defending in a dynamic context, that means the fight is moving through the map. Now, you are hampering your own mobility by throwing the Lucio out the window and bringing the Zenyatta, and I think that's where that's exacerbated more, and I think that's where it's a weirder pick for me to see.
Well, you lose the whole disengage as well. You get, like, especially King's Row, normally you disengage, get back to the arch, but you can't even do that. You're just going to get trampled over, and that's pretty much what happened.
And then looking towards the Zenyatta on Hanamura, which we did see on first point defense, yeah, it can be good there. The problem is you're up against Tavik and IDDQD, a Tracer and a Genji.
So vulnerable.
Exactly, and Zenyatta is not a mobile character. Like, he cannot run away, he cannot really survive by himself, he can't heal himself like a Lucio can, and a Lucio Ana alone is really hard to kill as a Tracer and even a Genji in that composition.
I think we can't not talk about IDDQD as well. Obviously getting, what, 22, I think, eliminations.
22-0 on the
to
first
0. Got 9 with his ulti as well on the Reaper. So absolutely phenomenal. To have 4 minutes 12 in the time back, they did in 4:48, is that? I believe it is. They've completed the entire King's Row. That's a fast time. That's a fast time.
Yeah, personally, as much as I love IDDQD, I think that Reaper is definitely not a stronger pick for him.
Yeah.
But in this team, if you want to take Hanzo on that first point, which Tvik obviously always likes to do, you need to put him on the Reaper. You need a Reaper no matter what. Now, we were talking about here that maybe IDDQD's reluctance to always go for the Reaper can hamper Tvik's potential hero pool. But seeing him do it here, I think he did a fine job. I think, honestly, Reaper is not super complicated. I think it's fairly straightforward what you need to do there. I think he did a good job, but I also don't think the Chinese were able to test him and pressure him and force a mistake out of him. I think he had a very comfortable round.
Wow, we've talked a lot about what China did wrong, but what did Sweden do right here? We had some great plays from all our DPS players. We talked a little bit about IDDQD and his ability to stay alive. But Tvik, how has he performed?
I think, well, one thing we see them do really well is not panic at all. When it came to Hanamura, and we saw China push in through the front gate when they were attacking, they didn't freak out and try to rush them. They didn't try to back away. They let them actually take that side room. And while they're in this position, they're like, all right, well, how can we kind of attack them? How can we force them to make a mistake? And then you see blizzards thrown into there. You see a wall being put up to actually separate the entire team so they can attack one front at a time. It seems like they were very calm in general when it came to the whole series.
And looking over sort of what we've seen so far, I don't think there's a lot of intricacies to really look deep at, but what I do want to show everyone maybe is let go of a replay of China's attacking push over on towards Hanamura, because I think it's very interesting to see how teams play around it, and even how Sweden sort of sets up to defend this kind of thing. Now, we've obviously got it up on your screen here as well at the moment. I mean, I just want to show that, notice we can't see anyone from Sweden here. So first of all, this is a good window for the Chinese side to actually get some progress here. Obviously, they're playing up against a mate. So first of all, they need to be careful not to have half their team in and half their team out. Because obviously they get split off and then they won't have their full power. So we can roll the clip. Let's just roll it through and show you what happens here. This is interesting because they come forward, wall comes up, and this is to allow them to get into that right side room and not be taken down. And what they do next is a little bit interesting. YJP goes back around the side, keep an eye on him, and they push forward. Now, this is literally a case of lobbing a blizzard into the middle. This is not a very subtle fight. The ultimates were there for the Chinese side, but look at YJP. He's already gotten around the side. He does get frozen up here, but he's generating a lot of threat. There are 2 people that are trying to deal with him, and that's given the Chinese side to establish control, position on this point. Yes, the counter blizzard comes in on a few occasions, but this is where they finally managed to break through, despite Tvik getting very close to bringing things back under his control.
Excellent play. I'm just watching this go down in the corner over here. Poor May.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a little bit tough, but I mean, that was the last chance for the Chinese squad to break through there as well. So they do manage to get it done, and the rest is history, I guess. The second point, they almost had it. I think they kind of caught Sweden on the back foot, but bringing a Winston and a Tracer into the situation for Sweden was enough to quell this, I guess, aggression from the Chinese squad and finally